What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Wanted to do a video, man. This has been kind of bothering me for a few days, and this is I've been seeing a lot of ever since Ryan Clark got fired from ESPN. I've been seeing a lot of people kind of clown him for crying on the Pivot podcast. And I always thought clowning anybody for crying is stupid. Crying, telling a man that they shouldn't cry is even stupider. It really is, man, because crying is an emotion that was given to us, and it is actually a very, very good thing. Now, I think when you talk about a dude crying or people crying, it's associated with weakness. And I'm not trying to judge any of you if you were taught not to cry, or if you are tough and you don't believe in crying. Okay, I am. It was given to me for a reason, and I think crying saved lives. If you ask me, I think a lot of people would be much worse than they are if they didn't do this natural thing that was given to them. So I want to look at this video, and this is courtesy of the Pivot podcast, and everybody's been talking about it. So I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in here. Now, let me be very clear about something to all the new people that might find this channel, okay? And from this video is I am reacting to a video, and in order to add commentary and make it an original piece, I have to interject. I have to stop it and give my commentary on it. That's the difference between SS Sniper Wolf and a person like myself, right? You have to, in order to transform the content, you have to stop it and give your take. Otherwise, it is content theft. Just in case you don't know, the Pivot podcast was started by Channing Crowder, Fred Taylor, and Ryan Clark. Fred and Channing came from a podcast that was started by Brandon Marshall called I Am Athlete. And these are two former NFL players. As a matter of fact, three former NFL players. These two guys were drafted. Ryan was actually an undrafted player, played a lot of years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he finished his career with the Washington Redskins. Well, he was part of the latest NFL ESPN layoffs, and they laid him off on air, behind the scenes. He was on a segment, he was away from that segment, and then the news broke that he was fired. They literally put him away from the segment and fired him off screen, and then we found out later that he was fired. It's a whole rabbit hole of things that you can go down for this whole thing. It was nasty. It was disgusting the way they did it, and ESPN is diabolical, and it'll be only a matter of time before they have no network at all. That they're the only thing they do is pay Stephen A. Smith, Pat McAfee, and do live games. All right, they better be glad that Disney owns them. But anyway, so this is the excerpt, and I wanted to talk about probably what most people are talking about when it comes to Ryan, him getting emotional and him actually shedding tears. And I thought that this was very brave of him to not cut this out because this was edited, because of the backlash that I knew was going to come. And I'm going to show you something that stood out to me the first time that I saw it about what Ryan was trying to do.
Stand-up guy. You've always preached accountability. Looking back over your 11 years at ESPN,
12.
11, 12, is there anything you would do differently, or do you leave knowing that you were fully yourself, or, what are your thoughts, man?
That's a good question.
Now this is kind of cool because Ryan is, because of his TV background, he's the one that asked the questions. But you know what I hope? I hope that if they think about changing the format a little bit, that maybe Fred and Channing will also start to ask some questions more than Ryan, because I think that'll bring a different dynamic to the show. So this, usually Ryan does the interviewing, but now it's Fred and Channing. All three of these men get emotional. They all shed tears, and we're going to get into it.
It depends on when you ask me. Like you asked me.
So there's the emotion, right? You can hear it coming behind the voice, behind the eyes. The what he's trying to do is he's trying not to cry. That's what the coping in this is. When I was watching it, I just said to myself, just let it out, right? Just let it out, bro. There's nothing wrong with what you're about to do, what your body is telling you to do, what you're feeling. This is how we get rid of that stuff. It's therapeutic. But he was trying everything in his power to hold it in. I understand why, because of what he knew was going to come from this. But you have both sides of the spectrum, right? You got the people, mostly men, that's going to make fun of this, and then you have the people that's going to support him being able to do that. It's funny that people talk about toxic masculinity, but then if a dude cries, then that's a problem. So, but just the way that Ryan is trying to hold this in, it was real sad for me, because I'm just like, dude, because it gets worse than this. I'm just like, let it out, bro. Let it out.
Like when I see people in public, like OGs and like aunties and stuff, and they tell me they proud of me, and they proud of like
So there's a lot of context. There's a lot of context to this. I'm getting teary-eyed just watching it. There's a lot of context to this. So I'm going to link the actual Pivot podcast in the description of this video. I need to do it this time because I usually forget to do that. But I would implore you to go watch the whole thing and what led up to this. So Ryan is not crying because he was fired from ESPN. Ryan Clark is going to be all right. He's a former NFL player. He is an Pivot podcast owner. He helped create the Pivot podcast with these two other gentlemen, and they are blowing I Am Athlete, which doesn't even exist in any. It's terrible, blowing it out of the water. But he's starting to get emotional because he's talking about the people when they see him on the street and what they say and the praise that they give him. So there's a lot of context leading up to this moment. I like that Fred put his head down, but look at how Ryan is shifting visibly. He's uncomfortable in the chair because his body wants to do one thing, but his mind is telling him not to do it. But the body won.
and they proud of like the way I represent the community. Yeah. I wouldn't change anything. Because that means the world to me. Or like.
Now, Channing looked like he was forcing them joints out. But let me remind you that we equate tears with weakness. These men, Fred took hits for a living. Ryan gave them out for a living, and so did Crowder. He was a linebacker, if I'm not mistaken. So these are very, very masculine men. You know what I'm saying? This is a natural thing that we have inside of us. And believe it or not, for everybody who wants to criticize anybody for crying, specifically men, it helps us feel better. That's why everybody want to go to sleep after they cry. It literally is the body's kind of feel good. It helps you feel better. So it's just funny to me. People laughing at him and all that stuff. Look, I've cried on my YouTube channel plenty of times. Not this one, but my other one. And I have no problem doing it. You know what I mean? So, but it's just funny. But I thought it was kind of interesting how he was trying his best to hold it in.
Go home. And this kid, from the West Bank is like so accepted in New Orleans now. Like, I wouldn't change that. Never.
No,
like
I see him.
All I ever wanted to do was be accepted. And want it. So yeah, like that, I wouldn't change. If you ask me, probably the first Monday of football, when all my friends get to do something we did super special together, yeah, I'd probably change it.
Now, what's interesting about this is I'm watching, and of course I'm no body language expert, right? But I think it's kind of interesting that he never stops moving. And the minute that he never stops moving, but he slows down and he moves less. And if you notice, the less he moves, the more tears come out. He was doing everything possible not to cry, and I get it. But They found their way out. They made themselves known, tears galore. And he stopped, almost stopped moving. Again, the more tears he shed, the more the more still he became. And I thought that that was interesting. And even now, this whole segment, he's trying to cope, and it's almost like he's a little kid almost. And like the way that he's describing himself and stuff like that. And look, the ugliest cry I've ever had in my life is when my son was born. I'm talking about ugly, bro, like ugly crying. It was. I don't think I probably might cry like that again, like if somebody I love dies or something like that. But I was bawling. Like you talk about bawling, like it was ugly. It was literally the sound was like like it was one of those, you know what I mean? So um but I just thought it was interesting how he he didn't want to let it out. And I think if he was in private, he probably would have. But how the emotions took over and such. And that's pretty much what I wanted to. But I'm seeing a lot of people kind of clown this whole thing. I always thought it was dumb that we are so against crying like that. It just doesn't make any sense to me when it literally was given to us, right? So here is something that I saw, kind of like why we cry and the definition behind it and what it helps us do. So this is coming from Google, of course. Crying is a natural human response involving the shedding of tears due to emotions like sadness, joy, or pain. It helps the body release stress, calm the nervous system, and signal a need for support. And then it was something down here, how it affects the body. Calms the nervous system by activating the this system. Releases feel good chemicals like oxytocin and endorphins. Everybody want to go to sleep. You feel better after you cry. Even, the crazy part is, for those of us who used to get a spanking, right? We got a spanking. It hurt. We hated it. But then we was crying, and then we want to go to sleep. Like, we kind of felt better after feeling worse. But if you noticed, if you ever let yourself cry, and it seems like the more ugly the cry, the better you feel and the sleepier you get. Which I wonder, is sleep like a side effect of crying? You know what I mean? Because we all, I don't know about y'all, but we all get a little sleepy. I get a little sleepy after. Um, Communicates inner feelings when words are hard to find. And so I actually clicked on this video and I watched a little bit of it. You probably could Google. As a matter of fact, I will put this video as well, this one right here, in the description of this video. So I'll put the Pivot podcast and this one in, and it was very interesting. It's only a few minutes, and I think it's less than I don't know. I'll just say 20 minutes, but it goes into crying, and she talks about how men have been taught not to cry and what it actually does and stuff like that. So I thought it was very interesting. Look, I don't hold back. I don't hold back. You know what I'm saying? It's funny because I do the same thing, trying to hold it in, but at the same time, it's like I'm just gonna let it out. I'm just gonna let it out, man, because I'm human. I'm human, and it makes me human. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are not. None of us are Terminator T-800. None of us are robots or anything like that. So I thought it was kind of interesting how Ryan Clark is. I've been seeing. I haven't really seen many videos, but I've seen some videos about Ryan Clark cries like a baby, or Ryan Clark this and that. And again, what I like about this is that this video was edited. It wasn't done. A lot of my crying is done live on my other channels. Like, you don't even want to know. But this was a video. It was edited, and he could have cut that out. He could have cut it out. He could have, even though he was trying to, while the video was being recorded, he was trying not to let it out. He could have cut this out. But I'm sure knowing the consequences, I'll use that word, knowing what people were going to do and say. And I haven't seen a ton of people talk about it, but it's just dumb to me. It's dumb seeing men, women, you think, oh, he's less of a man, or he's a weak man. Because let me, you go play football. You go out there, put on some pads, man or woman, and play male or female, and go play some football. And again, look, I think crying prevents killers. I do. I think that it one of the things, if you are taught to be in touch with your emotions and be able to show them, then you can express emotion this way, and instead of doing it that way. You'll be surprised how far communication and feelings and being able to show your feelings can go in life. So look, I tell you what, if I didn't talk and cry so much, I don't know what I would be. I'm not, I don't just cry all the time, but I cry quite a bit. I'm not gonna lie. I do. I'll cry at movies. Movies that make me cry. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy. So, but I'm glad. I'm proud of Ryan for keeping this in there. And you never know, man. He could be setting. We talk about setting the role model, being a role model, and it's people. It's probably a little boy somewhere that maybe he's going through something. Maybe the parents are like, "You better not cry. You better not do this." And then he's saying, "Okay, you know what? Maybe I won't do it around my parents, but it's not okay to do." You know what I mean? So yeah, and it's just sad that that's where we live. But shout out to Ryan Clark for not only expressing himself, not only but keeping this in here as well, because he could have taken this out. He could have taken this out. So again, if you want to check out the full podcast, I love this show. This show inspires me to be a better creator, to be a better businessman, to push further when it comes to my adventures on YouTube and what I inspire to do on YouTube. And I saw these guys from where they originally came from. Ryan Clark, they brought him in. He was already on ESPN, but they brought him in to help them, as a team up. And the pivot, just type in Brandon Marshall, Fred Taylor Fallout, or I Am Athlete Fallout or something. And if you want to go down that rabbit hole, it's quite the interesting rabbit hole to go down. All right. So shout out to Ryan Clark. Shout out to all three of these guys for being able to, it's funny, man enough to show emotion. And shout out to them, man, for not cutting it out as well. So I just think it's kind of sad to see other men talking about, him crying or these guys crying. And I'm like, do you understand that we were given that, that was put in us to do. So it's not like you were born and was like, I'm going to give myself the ability and the desire to cry. It's just like, why do we yawn? I think scientists haven't even figured it out. I've read stuff that it could possibly be to prevent like the brain from overheating. It's crazy, but how the body gives us outlets and some of us don't take them. So anyway, shout out to Ryan Clark, Pivot Podcast, and let me know what you think in the comments below.